Chapter 5. A Walk to the Back of the Land. The trouble began with the wind. Not a strong wind, not even a respectable one. Just a thin, sideways breeze that carried more information than it had any business carrying. It came down the ridge in a narrow ribbon, like somebody had slit open a bag of weather and let a little bit escape. I felt it first on my left arm. General Beauregard felt it in his comb, which stiffened dramatically, as if he had just been promoted again without proper notification. Pig sniffed once. An engineer sniff, diagnostic in nature. And Bronchi froze entirely, the way donkeys do when receiving messages from the ether or remembering a bill they forgot to pay in 2012. "It is a boundary wind," Beauregard announced. He says this about every wind, but this time something in the air agreed with him. We were walking toward the back of the land, which is a place that is not a place so much as a transition. Around here, the map gives up before the soil does. Fences stop. Forest starts. The sloughs appear and disappear according to a personal schedule unrelated to civil law. The back of the land is where frequencies touch each other without shaking hands. Nothing industrial, nothing man-made, just a region where the world gets thin in spots. Pig grunted. "That wind is running an update. Y'all feel that? That's a soft reboot." Bronchi shivered. "I feel a faintness approaching. I believe my emotions are dilated." We kept walking. The grass changed first. Switchgrass giving way to sedge, sedge giving way to a darker, shinier mud that had the personality of soup and the self-esteem of a trapped spirit. You could smell where the ridge relaxed downward into the bottoms. "This is where sound goes to retire," Beauregard said, speaking with the quiet reverence of a rooster who once nearly joined the clergy. The back of the land holds noises the way old houses hold drafts. You hear frogs that haven't hatched yet. You hear acorns that fell last November. You hear your own heartbeat and feel surprised that it's still attending its shift. Then we saw it. The line. Not a fence, not a ditch, just a visible change in the color of the day. The light bent slightly, loitering in a manner that suggested it was waiting for someone else to take responsibility. Pig stopped short. "There, right there. That's a thermocene." Pig calls everything a thermocene, but this time I saw it too. Beauregard puffed out his chest and spoke like a rooster reciting scripture he had written himself. "This is the place where the wild time begins." He wasn't wrong. On the cooter side of the seam, time moves the normal way, forward-ish. On the other side, in the bottoms, time tends to drift sideways, diagonally, occasionally in circles. People who grew up here think that's normal. People who didn't grow up here think their phone is malfunctioning. Bronchi refused to step across. "I do not have the emotional paperwork for this," he whispered. Pig examined the seam with the precision of a field technician. "It's not dangerous, just old. You can't get hurt crossing old," which is a lie. Old things hurt you in ways young things haven't learned yet. But the seam wasn't threatening. It was inviting, the way a cool kitchen invites a dog on a summer day. I stepped across first. The air changed. Behind me the land hummed. Ahead it breathed. Beauregard followed with a ceremonial hop, performing an unnecessary flourish with his wings that he later referred to as the transitional honoring. Pig marched through like she was clocking in. Bronchi had to be coaxed, nudged, encouraged, reassured, prayed over, and finally bribed with half an apple, but he made it. Once across, the world felt deeper. Not heavier, but deeper, like the land had suddenly decided to reveal its second layer. Birds sounded older. Trees carried themselves like they remembered seeing people who are now historical footnotes. The mud made a different sound underfoot, the kind that implies it is considering keeping your shoe for documentation purposes. "This," Beauregard said, "is where the truth sits." And he was right. Not the big truths. Those belong to preachers and politicians and people who like to hear themselves repeat things. The back of the land holds the small truths. What the wind knows, what the turtles carry, what the river remembers even when it pretends not to. We walked until the land opened into a wide, shallow clearing. Dragonflies hovered like they were thinking about filing reports. A coyote track crossed a deer track crossed a hog track in an arrangement that might have been a coincidence or might have been a negotiation. Pig spoke first. "Something is shifting out here." Beauregard narrowed his eyes. "I concur. The vibe is altered. The baseline frequency is—" He paused. "Non-compliant." Bronchi whispered, "I do not like when the vibe is non-compliant." We stood together at the back of the land, listening to the silence trying to make up its mind. Something was coming. Not a machine, not a threat. Something alive, something old, something that had been waiting for us to notice. Beauregard lifted his head. The feathers on his neck rose like a warning or a greeting. It was hard to tell which was. He said, "Prepare yourselves. The land has begun the conversation."